If you are tired of homework time ending up in just a frustrated battle where nothing gets done and everybody's upset, and you want to turn that into focused learning time where you actually get some productive stuff done during that session, that's what we're going to talk about today. How can you turn homework time into something where they actually learn something, they're focused, and they do a better job where people don't end up as frustrated. I'm Dr. Jeff Cumro down at Better Life Chiropractic and Wellness, and over the past 15 years, I have helped people transform their lives, basically getting the hardware and the software, the systems working the best that they can. We focus on getting the brain and body to function the way that they're supposed to, but we also have to have those energetic systems to supply those systems. If you have a sports car that's sitting in your driveway, you don't have any gas, it doesn't do you any good, right? That's what we combine together. We get the two areas functioning the way that they should be. So I commonly get questions about how you can change homework time. I see so many parents that come in and they're frustrated. Their kids aren't getting the things done that they want to get done. Parents are ending up frustrated. The kids are ended up frustrated. The kids aren't learning anything, and it just ends up being a jumbled mess, right? And I've dealt with it myself. We're not immune to this, so it's not like certain people have to deal with it and certain people don't. Everybody does have to deal with it, but there are things that can be done to make it more easy. And we're going to break this down into the TLDR version. Exercise, right? If you are having trouble getting them to focus, bring exercise into it, and you can do this in a couple of ways, and that's what we're going to dive into. So. If you're struggling with this, exercise is a great way to do it. And there are multiple ways that we can go about it. We can do exercise while you are studying. We can do exercise before you're studying. Both can be beneficial. It just depends on what your limitations are. So let's kind of dive into the science of this, and then we'll get into the more detailed version of how you can do this. So ultimately what happens when we exercise is a multitude of things. We increase the blood flow to the brain. That's obviously a good thing. When we get more blood flow, your cells can get more nutrients. We change our metabolism around, right? So if you have a bunch of sugar sitting in your system, what happens? Give your kid some sugar, wait a couple minutes, and see what happens. They're going to get all jumpy and antsy. They're just going to go 100 miles a minute, right? Until that all burns off. So when we actually start burning through some of this stuff, it helps to calm our metabolism down. We burn that extra energy off, and we're able to have just a more steady state energy to supply the systems that we need. And that focused attention is one of those systems. The brain uses more energy than any other system. It uses about a quarter of our energy, even though it's about 4% of the size of our entire body. So it's a very, very energy dense thing. And just sitting around and focusing for long periods of time can be very, very fatiguing. When you get fatigued, your body makes sugar, right? So we have these peaks and valleys in energy flow, and that can lead to some of this, inability to pay attention and different things like that. As we start to exercise and get some of that burnt off, we get just a little bit more level thing. So it's something where you don't see the peaks and valleys. So something that can work very, very well in that way. The other thing that exercise really does is it leads to the production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And what that does is it helps to grow new neural connections. And this is obviously important for anybody that's trying to learn anything, because that's what you're doing. You're building new neural connections. You're building new networks in there. And when you can build those networks, it's easier to remember the past ones. And what we have to do is stimulate these over and over again. We can't just put one in, stimulate it one time, and it's magically there. Are there things that are like that? I mean, sure, but it's very, very easy things. They're things that you're not repeatable. When you're learning anything difficult, those networks are going to have to be fired over and over and over and over again. And that's what makes learning hard for most people. You have to have the diligence to do it over and over again. And when you have a kid that doesn't want to focus, it's difficult to get that done, right? So exercise. Now, the two ways that you can do this, let's give you a little background. I did this when I was in chiropractic school, and I had no idea, why it worked or anything like that. But I knew if I went to the gym and I studied for the test, I was going to do okay. Why? I would just jump on a step mill. I would jump on an elliptical. I would jump on a treadmill, whatever it was, but I would sit there and I would study while I was moving because I have trouble sitting still. I hate to sit down and do nothing. It drives me nuts, and I don't know why. I struggle to relax, but that's just who I am. I've got to come up with workarounds for this. That is one of the workarounds that I found. I could go up and I could study on exercise equipment, and I could just sit there for an hour and be just fine. If I tried to do that at home, I'd be distracted. I'd be looking at the TV. I'd be looking at the internet. I'd be grabbing a snack of some variety. Something would be distracting to me. So same thing happens. If you've got a child that you could put, the little, it's not like a really bike. It's just the pedals. If you put that under the desk, you can have them move on that while you're studying. Works for reading. It works for math. It works for all of these other things. Not only do you get the benefit of burning off that excess energy, but you actually learn faster because you're getting that increased nutrition to those cells, right? So it works really, really well as far as that goes. That's not applicable to all situations, right? You can't always just have the little desk bike underneath you. Sometimes you could put a walking platform underneath you. That would be another way that you could do this if you're at home. It's a little more dangerous to read on things like that, but there are different ways to do this. It doesn't have to be the bike underneath the desk. So take that for what it's worth. Exercise is exercise. It doesn't really matter how you're getting it. As long as you're getting the blood flow up a little bit, it's going to work to some extent. I guess I should go into a little depth on that. You can't be working out too hard while you do this. So if the kid's getting distracted and they're trying to pedal as hard as they can, they're not going to be paying attention to what's on the sheet. It has to be a certain balance between your heart rate being too high, your heart rate being elevated in some extent. You want to have balance in that. As soon as you start breathing a little heavier, it's over. You're not going to get the focus out of that. So make sure that they're not working too hard during this. Otherwise, you're not going to get the benefits that you're looking for. But the other way to go about this, if you don't have the flexibility of putting, the bicycle under the desk or anything like that, you can work out before you do the study session. So spend a half an hour running around. It makes a difference. Why does it make a difference? Because you've already got that blood flow up there. You've already got that metabolic capacity. You've already got that brain-derived neurotropic factor floating around in there. It doesn't have to be while you are exercising. You could do it before. Now, again, if you're too tired throughout this, it's going to cause problems. I would recommend avoiding the snack between the exercise and the workout, and the homework session, though. Why? Because if you give somebody something, especially if it's simple carbs or sugar, it's going to spike their blood sugar, and they're going to have the peaks and valleys again. You're still going to get benefit out of it, but there's still going to be some peaks and valleys to some extent. So have them exercise in some way, shape, or form. Play a game with them. Play tag. Run around. Work out in some way, shape, or form. Do some push-ups or sit-ups. Any kind of exercise can work for this, but have them do exercise before you sit down and do it. 2 minutes is probably not going to be enough. You want them to run around for 15, 20 minutes. Get some of that energy out, and then let them sit down. And when they sit down, they're going to be able to focus. Not only is this going to make the learning less frustrating, it's also going to help you bond. Right? So when you bond together and then you sit down and you're frustrated, you're less likely to butt heads against it. So just a great way to bring your family together, help them learn a little bit easier, and make learning time a little bit less frustrating. So like I said, the TLDR version of this is exercise before or while you are doing the homework, and it's going to give you the benefits. If you're interested in the science, you can go back and watch that as many times as you want. But the exercise makes a massive role. It plays a massive role in actually focusing on the things. It plays a massive role in actually learning and remembering the things. So you're going to get more bang for your buck no matter what. Even if there is frustration, remember, this isn't something that can't be done multiple times. You could go back and you can, hey, you know what? I think we're losing focus. Let's go do a little bit of exercise. Let's go run around for 10 minutes and see what happens. It's something you can repeat, right? And it's something that will be healthy. It's something that improves your relationship. It's something that improves the learning. So it's a win-win for everybody. If you do have questions on this, drop a comment below. As always, like or subscribe if this is helpful for you. Gives me good information on what types of things you guys are finding helpful. And when I know what you need, I can share more of that. So as always, I love you. I appreciate you. I know your attention is one of the most valuable things that you have. I appreciate you spending some of that with me. And I will catch you on next week's video.